I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you very much. Please remember to silence your phones and pagers and such. Before we begin, I'm going to do my best to muddle through this. We are not live streaming on YouTube until further notice, under the potential threat of offending somebody, because we are not covering these meetings with closed captionings and so forth. Mr. Jennings, would you offer some insight onto this and what we potentially could be looking at?
I would just say under ADA regulations, that is part of that code, that if you're offering it to the public, you have to offer it to a broader spectrum, which means those folks who can't actually hear the video or the audio of what's being stated, so they're asking for closed captioning. So there's actually lawsuits out there, not for Woodbury County, but I believe they're out of California. And so that's why it's been advised that Woodbury County stop those videos, the Board of Supervisors being one of those. I've talked to the Sheriff's Department. They're in the process of also putting a halt to theirs. The Zoning Department is stopping theirs, and I believe those are the biggest users of website and videos at this point. Because it applies to all county departments, not just the Board of Supervisors. Any department that's up under a county government or a state government or any government office.
But they will still be recorded.
Yes.
Just not live streamed.
We're still going to record them for all purposes because they need to be recorded anyway. But for future, I mean, it's still a possibility if we come to an agreement of how we're going to post them, whether it's closed caption or how we're going to do that. We will still have that ability because we've already done the videos. And if we don't do the videos, we will lose that. We'll still have them recorded, but recording them is not prohibited in and of itself. So,
Sir.
I don't want to get too into the weeds, but just a quick question. So the past videos, you know, these have been archived. Any problem with those, or that's okay, leaving them out there?
no, we basically have to take them down.
So anything from the past?
Right.
Okay.
Right, and I believe that's why Rocky stated he's been working with John Malloy's department to stop that, not only the current live streaming, but I believe everything in the past as well. And if not, I'll talk to John Malloy.
Yeah, please do, because I don't remember if we covered that part or not. It was.
Yeah, because it still belongs to Woodbury County. That's property of Woodbury County, so it's still out there.
And I did ask him to change it on the county website. I did not get a chance to see if there was an addendum to that or something that explained what was going on, so.
Right. I will check with him tomorrow to see if he's gotten that up. What he's talking about is just notice to the public who might be listening to tonight. I'm expecting that live stream video to be out there, and so we were hoping to have that posted so they kind of know what's going on. Yes.
So we can record tonight, post it to the YouTube channel, or not?
No, we're recording it because we're required to record
Okay.
it. It's not mandating how we record it, so we're required to record it. We just can't live stream it and post it to YouTube. Go ahead, Pat.
We're not required to record it.
No, we are not.
Yeah, we record the proceedings of the board, which means I take notes at a minimum.
Right, that we can choose how we want to do the recording,
Right.
yes.
The other thing, I just talked with Don Dew from Disability Resources, and he says that he thinks that's what we're doing is premature. And he also says that if you've been offering it, entities have been sued when they've taken them down too. So you're at risk for...
You're at risk no matter what, but we know that people who are posting them have been sued. That we do know.
Who is doing the suing, and what kind of what has been the result of that?
The only thing I know is that a district court, and again, I believe it originated out in California, upheld that it applies to the ADA. And so the lawsuit is going forward. That's the only thing that without getting into minutia details of what's going on, that lawsuit has been allowed to proceed in the district court under the ADA.
There's enough attorneys around, you can find someone to sue.
And I asked him, and he requested that, those conversations as we go forward, is that he would be included in those conversations.
Who is that now?
Don Dew from Disability Resource.
Okay.
From here in Woodbury County.
And that'd be great. If you want to forward him, I think we forwarded you the email that has that case on there. You can just forward that right to him if he has a question of what case and the reasoning and the court's ruling. Just forward it to him. It's right in there.
Did I hear you correctly that all previously recorded county board meetings are removed or will be removed?
I would advise that because they're still up under the Woodbury County's domain, that they not be allowed to be shown.
Is this a national recommendation?
No, that's coming from me.
Well, you mentioned lawsuits in California, which is not what I would use to gauge every standard of right and wrong in Iowa, but.
I get you, and we don't have to do any of this. We can wait on somebody to sue us. My advice to you, though, is we've had a district court that has ruled that it's against the ADA. And once you get a person out there, somebody else is looking at it. So we're opening ourselves up. We don't have to do anything. We can leave it out there, and we can wait to be sued if they're going to sue us.
And the school district did this a while back. They quit doing that.
Right, and I believe the city has implemented it as well.
The city has done it last
Right.
week. But did they remove all access to previous to?
I don't know. I don't know. That's something that I can clarify. But to me, if it's Woodbury County property, it doesn't matter if it was from last month or it's from today.
I believe so on the school district because I wanted to link to something prior and it's no longer available. Is that right? Yeah. I think it's unfortunate, but that's my opinion. So
It is unfortunate, but
It's a case if you try to do something nice and transparent and a few people ruin it for everybody. I just don't understand the logic if there's no local threat. Have we ordered, Mr. Chairman, all previous recordings to be removed yet?
No, we have not. To my knowledge, we have not done that. I wasn't aware that was one. I don't remember talking to Mr. Malloy about it, so I don't think they have been removed. I wasn't aware. Now that we're talking about it, I don't remember being aware that could even be an issue.
Has anyone spoken to Sioux City about, or the school district about having a sharing of a singular?
I chatted with Mayor Scott one day last week, Thursday or Friday of last week, and they were kind of taking a wait-and-see attitude for the moment, but I think he was waiting to hear back from the school board on what their thoughts were. And I have not contacted anybody on the school board yet. So, the conversation was potentially the school board, the city, and the county could go together and purchase the software or whatever this program is that we can, but has proceeded no farther than that, so.
And we haven't really looked at what the options are for the closed caption. Some of them, the school board said it was very expensive to do so, and that's why they haven't done it.
Well, I heard the number 30,000 bandied about, which obviously if we did it 3 ways, it'd be 10,000 per entity, but then Mr. Malloy came down, and I don't see him, but he came down this morning, and I chatted with him, and he said there might be he was at a meeting with the city, Tuesday morning meeting with the city, and he mentioned something about the difference between closed captioning and subtitles, and then now there's some confusion on that. So I think we're really getting deep in the weeds, but.
Has anyone with the county been approached on this issue and been told we'd rather have you shut down than provide closed captioning.
Not that I'm aware of.
No. The only other conversation I've heard is, I believe Sheriff, I'm not sure. I know he didn't want to be put on the spot, but he was at a conference that might have talked about the necessity of even having an interpreter, or not an interpreter, but I believe, is it an interpreter? Yes. An interpreter.
A sign language person as well?
So there's other things out there, but that wasn't part of the lawsuit, as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
Wow.
So,
Good news.
bottom line, yes, we don't have to. I mean, California is a whole different circuit. We're in the 8th Circuit here for federal court. We can wait on that if we want to. I wouldn't advise it. I would come up with a game plan so that we're all on board with that game plan, whatever it is, and then we move forward. So that if we are sued for whatever we do, the county made a conscious decision to do it that way.
Are there any examples local to Iowa, outside of California?
No. I've talked to a few of the counties in the state of Iowa. The civil attorneys had a meeting Friday, and so I sent this to them, and so I'm waiting to hear back from them what other counties have thought about this particular lawsuit. So, and I should have an answer from them within the next couple of days of what they're thinking. Matthew don't want to do it. He just wants to.
Matthew doesn't want to do it.
I get you.
I don't want to do it, but after being in a public meeting where our attorney advises to, I'm not going to say no. As much as I'd like to just say leave it alone, because all it takes is one. And we've now put it out there.
And the
that we've been
cat's out of the
advised-
bag.
Yeah, we've been advised not to continue without it.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if you'd work and maybe come back with a recommendation the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, I think that'd maybe be helpful.
I'm planning on talking to the mayor again, and I'm not sure who would be the right person to contact with the school board. Maybe you can help me with that. But I'll start on something. I like that our meetings are live streamed and public and open and so forth. It's frustrating that we're trying to do the right thing and almost no matter what we do is a threat of a lawsuit, so.
I would think if we were showing effort and progress toward addressing it, that there would be no issue with continuing, but I'm not from California, so.
Neither am I.
But you are an
A
attorney.
whole lot of things different over there.
Any other questions for Mr. Jennings? Thank you. In view that we have a set meeting at 4:45, I will go ahead and ask if we have any citizen concerns with the,
We'd have to approve the agenda too, wouldn't we?
we haven't done citizen concerns yet?
Well, wasn't that them?
No, that was not. Does anybody have any citizen concerns?
There you go.
I will motion for approval of today's agenda.
Second.
Motion by DeWitt, second by Taylor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Items 3 through 6 constitute a consent agenda of routine action items to be considered by one motion. Items pass unanimously unless a separate vote is requested by a board member. Item 3 is approval of the minutes of the October 16, 2018 meeting. Item 4 is approval of claims. Item 5, board administration, approval of lifting tax suspensions for initials CR and KJ. Item 6, human resources, approval of memorandum of personnel transactions. I will move approval of consent agenda.
Second?
Motion by DeWitt, second by Radig. All those in favor say aye.
Mr. Chairman,
Sir.
go ahead, sir.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Did you have anything, Mr. Taylor?
No, carry on.
Okay. Mr. Auditor, are we close enough to 4:45?
Sure.
Outstanding. We are 4:45, Building Services, public hearing for the Dorothy Pico HVAC and roof project. Mr. Smith.
Kenny Schmidt, Building Services. The agenda item before you is to conduct the public hearing for the Dorothy Pico HVAC and roof improvement project. This agenda item allows for comments of interested parties in the public for any comments that they might like to ask or give or ask the board of this project.
Anyone?
Hearing none, Mr. Chair, I move that the public hearing be closed.
Second? Motion by Taylor, second by Potabom to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Public hearing is closed on 5-0 vote.
Thank you.
What's next? Approve CMBA architects to open bid.
Let's go to
I'm sorry?
7.
We can go back and start at 7 now.
Oh, 7, okay, sorry. Item 7, a presentation of resolution thanking and commending Todd Trobaugh for years of service with Woodbury County. Resolution number 12,781, a resolution thanking and commending Todd Trobaugh for his service to Woodbury County. Whereas Todd Trobaugh has capably served Woodbury County as an employee of the Sheriff's Office for 18 years, from August 21st, 2000 to November 2nd of 2018, and whereas the service given by Todd Trobaugh as a Woodbury County employee has been characterized by his dedication to the best interests of the citizens of Woodbury County, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors of Woodbury County, Iowa, that the undersigned members of this board thanks and commends Todd Trobaugh for his years of service to Woodbury County, and be it further resolved that it is the wish of those signing below that the future hold only the best for this very deserving person, Todd Trobaugh. Be it so resolved this 18th day of September on 2018. Lieutenant Trobaugh. Thank you, sir. You better hold this. Congratulations. Best of success.
Thank you.
Tell Stallman hi for us. Item 8, County Auditor. Approve and receive for signature the amended grant monitoring policy procedure.
They shut it off, sorry. That's on purpose.
Already.
What happened?
He was asking about the stream. He said it shut off.
Yeah, his watch isn't up there.
Thanks, Greg.
Any more?
So what we have here is the grant monitoring policy and procedure, which was previously approved in April, and there's just a couple of changes. We received another letter from the Department of Justice in which we are labeled as high risk for grants, for federal grants. And the highlighted items are some of the items that they say that we have not included in our policy and procedure. In addition to the two highlighted areas there, I did add something and talked to PJ about it. Found that we were citing a code that's no longer in existence in our policy, so we've amended the code to include the Uniform Guidance 2 CFR 200, which now governs federal grants. And I think that's an important citation that the Department of Justice will appreciate. Request for approval and signature.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ung, second by Taylor. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Okay. Building Services, item B, approve CMBA Architects to open bid submissions for Dorothy Pico Nature Center HVAC and roof project.
Kenny Schmidt's Building Services. Agenda item before you is for the Dorothy Pico Nature Center HVAC and roof improvement project. Pursuant to Iowa code, we need to set project dates, times, and places to open bid submissions and officially receive the bids. And by motions 1 and 2 below, we'd like the board to approve those motions.
Kenny, what's being contemplated as far as CMBA's role here? Specifically under B.
CMBA will partner with Woodbury County to open the bid submissions at Dorothy Pico Nature Center on October 30th at 2:00 p.m. We then will return to the board and have the board receive those bids at 4:45 p.m. on the 30th.
And you're hoping to have a recommendation at that time?
No, we're going to follow this up probably with an agenda item again at the 30th meeting, requesting that we return November 6th with a recommendation.
So what's the rationale as far as opening them prior to the public meeting as opposed to at the public meeting?
The thought process behind that is Dorothy Pico Nature Center is where the initial contractor walkthroughs had taken place for the project. And CMBA's recommendation was that would be the opportune place to actually open the bids, to have contractors return and do that at the same place.
And do you plan on noticing that as a public hearing of the board?
It's already been posted as notice, yes, or it will be posted as notice, yes.
So you'd have a quorum of the board out there?
Oh, I'm sorry, before the board, no. Not opening the bids before the board. I did talk to Pat Gill about this a few days ago and requested that we be allowed to open the bids without anyone from the auditor's department present, and then return to the board meeting that evening and have the board receive those bids. It's really not unlike what we've done with all of our other previous bids, other than the location. Usually we've opened the bids here at the Woodbury County Courthouse in the board office. No board members have been present on our previous bid openings.
The question to me was if there was a requirement for the auditor to be present.
Right.
That's okay.
And you replied that no, that
Yeah.
there was not.
Would we need another public hearing, Josh, from the one we just had?
No, I guess my process-wise, I just want to make sure I'm clear on the process you're envisioning. Because, I mean, typically, we open boards, or we open bids here in the meeting, in the public meeting, so.
I can say that no, we have not typically been doing that in the last 2 years in building services. We have been receiving them, but we have not been opening them at the board meetings. And I guess if you want to interject some language that says that we have been doing that incorrectly, we'll change the way we have been doing that. But again, that's not the process we've been following.
Yeah, the procedure used to be, was that they always came to the board. And even before that, they were always received in the auditor's office. And at that point, we had a disagreement over with the Board of Supervisors office at one time. few years back, and so they were just going to the supervisor's office. And then I do know that a couple of years ago, they started opening those bids. I think it was when Shane came.
Baker Group, right.
When the Baker Group got involved, they started using the procedures that they were familiar with in other counties. And that's what they were doing, is that they would just open them in the board office. They asked me as a courtesy to come. I just thought there wasn't any real requirement for me to be there, as long as everything came to the board. Kenny would explain that the bids were opened, and they brought them to the board, and the board would receive them before they would do a recommendation. And I think you're doing public hearings, just like you did tonight, right?
Yes.
But it is a change in procedure from what has.
Yeah, and there have been some bids that we've opened in the meeting here. And I believe the code section requires, that at the next board meeting, they be presented to the board. So, like I said, I'm not necessarily saying that there's something wrong about the way that you're planning to do it. I'm just making sure that I'm clear on what the process is that you're using.
Sure.
So is it okay to, just so we're all clear, is it okay that the bids be open as long as they're received here and it's publicly notified what the bids were? Or do they have to, because I know like the county engineer, typically he's got a letter opener and we watch him, and that's, seems like it's been a different practice here. Are both ways copacetic, or?
I think it can be done either way.
As long as they come here and each one of them
They
is
have to be
told?
reported to the board at the next board meeting.
Okay.
You can't just bring the winning bid, he has to tell what the bids were.
Right.
Right.
So for purposes of this agenda item, is this okay in your book, Joshua, to go ahead with, as far as this plan?
Yeah, they can set it at a different time. That would be acceptable.
So I'll go ahead and move to approve CMBA Architects to open bid submissions for Dorothy Pico Nature Center HVAC and roofer project.
Second.
Motion by Taylor, second by Radig. Any other questions?
That's with you going to be there too, Kenny, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, essentially, this is like giving them the permission to open the bids. We're entrusting them with that.
If you'd like to make your motion to say you approve CMB Architects and Woodbury County Building Services, I would be fine.
So amended.
I like that better.
Okay. With that stipulation in place, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
I guess we had to vote on the amendment. You said amendment, so if that's an amendment, we had to vote on the amendment first. Unless you're just
I
changing.
just took it as a sense amendment that everybody agreed to it.
Okay.
And then I'd move to approve to receive bids for the Dorothy Nature Pico Center HVAC and roof project on October 30th at 4:45 p.m.
Second.
Motion by Taylor, second by Potabom to receive bids on October 30th at 4:45. Any further questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 10, Board Administration, approval of the annual urban renewal report for FY 2017-2018. Mr. Butler.
This is an annual report that's due December 1st, so we are ahead of schedule here a little bit, which is good. All it is telling the revenue that's coming in, this is actually for the legislature because they review all the increment districts in the state of Iowa. Shows the revenue coming in and expenditures going out. Basically, we only had 3 expenditures going out. One is the 4th year of the tax rebate to Platinum Crane, which is 75%. We'll go 1 more year there, then it drops 50%, 5 years, then it's done. We're paying interest on the Dogwood Trail loan for this year. Next year, we start making principal payments, which is the current year, and then the tax increment related legal fees when we amended districts or any legal work we have done. So basically, it's just that report, and all you have to do is approve it, and then I put a date on it, it's filed with the state legislature.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Taylor, second by Potabom. Further questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis. Item 11, secondary roads. Item 11A, consider approval of completion certificate for project L77.
This is for a box culvert project to replace a short span bridge on 200th Street south of Cushing. I recommend approval of the completion certificate.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion by DeWitt, second by Taylor. Any other questions for Mr. Nero? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Passes 5-0. B, order or consider approval of completion certificate for Q10.
This is a replacement of another short span greenwood structure with a box culvert in flume. This work was done by Graves and completed on July 6th. I recommend approval of the completion certificate.
I'll move it.
Second.
Motion by Radig, second by Ung. Further questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Passes 5-0. Item C, consider approval of completion certificate for project on 280th Street.
This was a relocation of the 280th Street and Old Highway 141 intersection. The intersection was moved to the south and put in a place where we had better sight distance. The landowners in the area were very appreciative of this project. It came out to be a nice looking project. Once we get some grass to grow out there, it'll really look good, but right now it is a much safer location for that road entrance.
Move it.
Second.
Motion by Taylor, second by Radig. Further questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Item 12, Community and Economic Development, approval of submission of application to achieve ACT Work-Ready Community Certification.
Good evening, Supervisors. David Gleiser, Community and Economic Development Director. This item requests the board to approve dedicating resources necessary to submit the county's application to achieve the ACT Work-Ready Community Certification. This is a similar process that we went through as it relates to our application for the Home Base Iowa designation. It's actually very similar. And over the last 6 months, I've been researching the ACT Work-Ready's community certification. It's something that I've seen being discussed at the International Economic Development Council conference in Atlanta, Georgia this year. It was something that was discussed at the Professional Developers of Iowa conference just this fall. And it's been something that I've been hearing about while attending coursework for the Certified Economic Developer certification. And so it's basically a certification by ACT that demonstrates a community's actual numbers of people who have taken the National Career Readiness Certificate and have achieved that certificate, which demonstrates you have certain skills. And it is a certificate that employers use when making hiring decisions. And so employers can use this certification as a requirement or as a something that they recognize during their hiring process. Heather has a video that I'd like to queue up and show you what another county has created. This is in Washington County, Mississippi.
Closed caption.
Maybe.
You turn subtitles on.
I don't know if it's safe for us to watch this.
Just turn it all the way up, maybe.
Just move the microphone over there.
Certified Woodbury community in approximately 12 months in January of 2017. We received our initial certification.
It means to existing industry as well as a prospect coming here that we have not only the talent pipeline, but we have the means and the formula put in place for you to be successful.
Our silver level is higher than the national average significantly, and is higher than many other manufacturing counties in the state of Mississippi.
Workforce training has been a huge asset of ours in the last 5 years. We've partnered with local employers. We've partnered with the CAP Center.
The CAP Center is the workforce arm of Mississippi Delta Community College. We serve various industries. Examples of those would be medical office assistant program, the pharmacy tech program, HVAC, welding, a soon-to-be developed construction academy, CDL truck driving, and also electrical utility lineman.
One of our most successful training programs is the Manufacturing Basic Skills class. And that was the brainchild from partnering with local employers.
The Manufacturing Skills Basic program has bridged a gap for us. The training program gives them a significant amount of experience, quality principles that are going to make them successful from day one.
With workforce training, if we don't have a program that fits you right now, we will create it. Profiling is another component of the ACT Work Ready system. It allows us to identify the exact skills needed for a position.
After having the job profiled through the ACT profilers, we knew exactly what we needed, and we were able to create a more qualified applicant pool that really sped up the process of our hiring.
The more we work in this, we realize that we need to start at a younger age. Pathways to Possibility starts with 8th graders.
Those students in our school system are our emerging workforce, and that's where we've really put a lot of focus over the last few years.
We do have a workforce, and we really have one stronger than many people believe. There are companies throughout not only Washington County, but here in the Delta that are billion-dollar companies, and they've been successful. With the training that we're doing, we can help them be more successful.
To be quite honest with you, a lot of the legwork that is part of the requirement for the certification through ACT, we've already accomplished. Here in Sioux City, we have a pretty tremendous relationship between our business community and our education community, with the Career Academy at the Sioux City School District, as well as with the 260 programs that are administered through Western Iowa Tech. Like the gentleman on the video referenced, if they don't have a program for a business, they'll create one. We have those sort of opportunities in Woodbury County at Western Iowa Tech, and the National Career Readiness Certificate is the equivalent to Iowa's Skilled Iowa Initiative. So a few years back, when Governor Branstad created the Skilled Iowa Initiative, as part of the Home Base Iowa project, you had to have a certain percentage of your population be assessed and receive the Skilled Iowa Certificate, and then you had to have a certain percentage of businesses or employers in your jurisdiction accept or recognize that certificate. So Skilled Iowa is equivalent to the National Career Readiness Certificate. Because Sioux City Community School District assesses all incoming freshmen and they require all outgoing seniors take the NCRC test, our numbers are above what the requirement from ACT is. We've got a strong employer base that already accept that certificate. And so I think that we've run the preliminary numbers. We will meet the metrics that are required from ACT. But what I would like to do is I would really like to scale and replicate what's being done in Sioux City across the entire county. So work with the rural school districts, work with the business community, work on apprenticeship programs. I've been working with Iowa Workforce Development, the Siouxland Chamber, the Siouxland Initiative, Sioux City Economic Development Office, Western Iowa Tech, and Sioux City Community School District. So all of these partners have agreed to serve on our advisory committee and would be willing to send, as part of our team, 2 members to a boot camp training to learn about implementation through ACT. And so I think that we already do this quite well, but I think we will definitely be able to learn some things and network at this training. It's a 2-day training next month in Little Rock, Arkansas, or they have another one in January.
Who would you be sending to boot camp?
Probably myself and the business marketing manager for Iowa Workforce Development Region 12. So
Is that out of what?
out of our Iowa Works office.
Okay.
So we have all of the stakeholders locally that have agreed. We've participated in some conference calls with ACT. The application is pretty simple. So with the board's permission, this is really sort of like a prize that I feel like our community has already won. I just want to go claim it. This would put us on the map as the first county in the state of Iowa to receive this certification. There are 26 states in the country that subscribe to this, and over 400 some counties, 422 counties, I believe. It really complements the Governor's Future Ready Iowa initiative. And the nice thing about this also as an added benefit is Site Selection Magazine uses the ACT Work Ready Communities designation as part of their rankings for state competitiveness. And once we're certified, we will be able to embed the ACT logo for Work Ready Communities on all of our properties in the Location One information system, which is the sort of the online database for commercial and industrial property that most of the Midwest states use. So what it does is site selectors at a glance will be able to distinguish that this community has a certain raw number of skilled workers. And as you know, we're in this huge workforce shortage. I think this helps demonstrate that, you know, we actually have a pool of qualified skilled labor rather than just saying our population is this and our unemployment number is that.
Besides boot camp, are there any costs that you anticipate in the future, or is that really it?
It'd really be incidental, and what I would propose is that we leave the out-of-state travel up to the respective agencies that send members to this boot camp. And then once we get back from boot camp, I'd like our advisory team to get together and work on, you know, we might want to put together some collateral materials, marketing materials, and we can decide on how we, you know, fund that collectively, or how we get the resources to fund that. It could be a private partnership, private-public partnership where we have sponsors. It could be locally funded through, you know, city and county government. So there's a number of ways we could do that, but the initial cost is pretty minimal, and I can swing it out of my budget. As far as
When is this boot camp again?
It is November, I want to say November 7th and 8th, which I'm willing to carve that out of prime deer hunting season, so it's pretty important.
Well, I know that workforce is something that's really, really looked at by employers right now, because there's shortage of workforce almost everywhere. And that was before, you know, when I was in a meeting a few years back as, you know, a representative of the city, and we had Governor Branstad then at the time here, and we met at the Orpheum. And the employer we were meeting with, the number one concern he had was the available workforce in this area being educated enough for the business he wanted to potentially bring here. They didn't choose Sioux City. They went somewhere else.
And what's really nice is that with this framework, They talked about the profiling. We will work with businesses to develop a profile for the types of positions that they're looking to hire for. And then that profile will be able to make a match through the work keys assessment. And it really complements everything that we're doing right now. And the folks at ACT are excited that Woodbury County is interested, and because they're really looking to get the state of Iowa on board with this, and they're well aware of the Governor's Future Ready initiative. So it's very complimentary, and it'd be nice to be the first county in the state to achieve this.
Would this boot camp fee, the lodging, and the airfare, is that just for you, or would we be paying for the state guy too?
That'd be just for myself. And that's sort of what I've proposed, is that the respective agencies that want to send, we can send at least 2, but we can send more than that. So if the chamber or the city or the school district or Western Iowa Tech want to send a representative, we'd welcome that. But at this point, we're sort of leaving the travel up to the respective agencies.
I'd move approval of submission of application to achieve ACT Work-Ready Community Certification.
Second.
Motion by Taylor, second by Ung, to approve this item. Any further questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Passes 5-0.
Thank you. I will keep the board informed of our application status and let you know when we can celebrate our certification.
Thank you. Item 13, reports on committee meetings. Sure.
As you'll see in the backup, the minutes from the last policy review committee meeting are there. I already covered the bulk of it last week, but the approved minutes are there in your backup. Supervisor Radig and I earlier today attended Sioux Rivers. Couple interesting items. Item 8 was listed as an action item on regional transitioning to include a discussion on notification of service reduction in FY19, which was corrected to FY20 to consumers in Woodbury County. The motion was for the CEO to work with the CEO of Rolling Hills to notify Woodbury County residents of reductions in services. Myself and Radig voted against that motion. We believed it was didn't make sense. It's not a code requirement, and it's obviously before the budget process. And that was the comment we heard from Don Metzner, who spoke to Jan Heikes as well. These are budget decisions, and it does no good to our people to stoke the hysteria, I would say. There was also a vote to approve Lyon County joining Sioux Rivers. Apparently this was known yesterday, and the CEO would ask for it to be voted upon. Radig and I abstained and do not believe it was listed on the agenda appropriately either. So.
Yeah, it was kind of like they were including it under, what was the item on the agenda? How was it worded?
Regional transitioning.
Regional transitioning, right? Regional transition. So they just kind of included it under that, even though the parentheses was more about notifying Woodbury County providers about cuts.
Question.
Yeah.
Cuts that we don't know if they're if they're even coming or if there will actually be an increase in the future region. So just cuts in general, and that's just to be clear. The FY19, which is the year that we're in right now, that was mislabeled on the agenda because
it was
these are supposed to be cuts. Okay. Supposedly supposed to be cuts, right, for July 1st of 2019 to 2020, for which we're not in this region.
I threw it out there that in the new region, you know, with our money added to their money, you're gonna be looking at like a $6 million regional budget. So to, you know, we really don't know what's gonna happen, for one. And for two, I mean, we are required to cover more things, and we won't be spending down, you know, surpluses. So essentially, you know, some organizations may receive more funding, some may receive less, but we're going to focus on core and core plus, and I think that's a decision that the Rolling Hills Board moving forward will be making. So it's, you know, whether or not that budget is certified and they decide to follow up and then let people know what, if there is going to be any cuts, that's then, of course, I guess required by law, but I think it's just premature now to do
Because
anything.
you're
And
saying there may not
you're
be
just
any at
scaring-
all, and so.
Right, you're just scaring people where,
That's been,
Something about a cart in front of the horse?
something just like that. But anyway, next week, we'll have it on the agenda to vote. We still have to vote as part of that region whether or not to allow Lyon County to join Rolling Hills.
Lyon County?
Or excuse me, Sioux Rivers.
Yeah.
We still have to, yeah. We still have to vote to allow Lyon County to join Sioux Rivers, because we're still a part of Sioux Rivers at this point.
But you all said that you abstained from that vote,
We
or
abstained
no?
in the meeting, but still it's.
Oh, as a, gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'm sure they're both going to vote yes, so even if we voted no, I don't know that it would matter, but.
Mr. Potabom?
Conservation Board last week, you all missed a very good pork chop dinner afterwards, by the way. But the meeting went well. They made some great improvements to the parks. They're making some down at Browns Lake that I think they finally decided to get rid of that old concession stand. That was a piece of junk, and they're gonna actually build one in a better location and hopefully have an employee that they can use to rent out the items they rent and watch the beach. And the rest of it was stuff that came up today. They are very happy so far with the work on the fiber. Apparently that works on real well. I don't know if they've heard anything yet from the railroad, because as of last Thursday, they hadn't gotten their railroad permit yet. And but they said since they're going through a permitting company that works with the railroad, they're hoping that by the time they get down to the railroad property, they have permission to go ahead and go under it. But other than that, everything was working well, and again, it showed why they really need the fiber copper, because we had a presenter there to talk about some solar, and he couldn't get his phone to work or his tablet to show us what he was trying to do. We told him if he waited about 30 minutes and stood by the one window that sometimes it will connect, and he's able to do it. But other than that, everything's moving along fine, and they did say you were cooperating very well with them, and they appreciate everything the county's doing up there, so.
Anybody else? Round 2 of citizen concerns. Hearing none, item 15, board concerns.
I have one, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
So just something, and I could talk a little more with Supervisor on offline, but the certified local government, I think, idea is a good one, it sounds like, for maybe some grant opportunities. We had a historical committee meeting, and given some of the constraints, namely that we sort of reset that board, I wonder if we might want to just look at that as kind of the cost-benefit analysis of whether it makes sense to do. So we can talk further on that. I think it's a good idea. I'm appreciative that it's brought forward, but it sounds like most of the current committee wouldn't be eligible. So that may be something just to visit with in the future. But again, I appreciate it that it was brought forward, and the more I'm learning about it, because I'm getting caught up this week.
It's a different process than what we have. But
Yeah. And maybe it's a better one, but it's just one of those kind of a new thing. So.
Sure.
I asked the board office to secure a subscription to the Danbury Review. They are a newspaper in Woodbury County that is not received by the board office, and hope no one has objection to that. I was in communication with them in advance of the town hall, and they were a little upset about the short notice of that, but I understand there is some miscommunication. So.
Sure. Mr. Reddick? Good. You good?
That's, yeah, we already discussed it.
Okay. We are adjourned.